Don't mark this part. I am just showing you my outfit. I'm sorry. I'm not brushing my hair. I don't like to brush my hair more than twice a day-ish because it's not good. So this is as good as it's gonna get. I'm sorry. If that takes off marks, then so be it. So be it. This is my outfit. I'm wearing 2-color palette, white and blue. This is my sweater. These are my, I'm just for a picture of the shoes I'm wearing. I would be wearing because these are my normal, regular, clean school shoes. Right there. Maybe not. I don't know. I have that pink stuff on my face. My makeup is good. My breath doesn't smell. Could be worse. Sorry. What else? I don't smell like BO. I am wearing clean clothing. That's all. That's it. Let's get rolling. Hi, Dan. This is me, Brianna, here for an interview. And I have my resume here as well. So, here you go. Thanks. Nice to see you, Dan. Nice to see you. So, how are you today?
Fine.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for asking. I'm quite excited to be here today. This is also my first interview, so let's hope it goes well.
Yes. Tell me about yourself.
Nice to meet you, Dan. I'm Brianna Voltour, and I'm a high school student who's looking to gain experience and knowledge in the work field.
Yes.
At home, I cook various meals like spaghetti, buttered chicken, and I bake sourdough. And often, I throw together simple desserts like mug cakes or cinnamon buns, all the while making sure to keep a clean and safe kitchen environment. At school, I'm very friendly with teachers and friends, and I enjoy math problems, problem solving, and working independently. I'm excited to learn more about this position as I know it will massively improve my social skills, and I've always known that working in an environment such as your company will improve my efficiency, comprehension skills, social skills, spatial awareness, and multitasking skills.
What skills and experience I have?
Of course. I have strong customer service and communication skills. When I volunteered at an Arctic Spas and Leisures concert, I was constantly tending to people, giving them tickets, asking them questions, and receiving their questions. On top of that, I always try to maintain a positive and cheerful attitude. In the situation of a Karen customer, I feel that I would be able to stay calm and I would almost find the experience enjoyable. A situation like that would certainly teach me patience, which is something that I have but I'm still trying to work on. I also have the skill of being friendly and efficient. In high school, there's no time to be a jerk or to procrastinate. Now, I don't have to be nice to everyone, but I feel that it's best if I am. Now, in terms of schoolwork, there is no time to be slacking, especially with finals coming up. And on top of that, with all the courses I have to take, there's a lot of work to do. And more importantly, this year I feel like my motivation has especially improved. I feel like this would benefit in a restaurant workplace, and more importantly as a waiter, as I can either always be doing something like mopping, sweeping, cleaning dishes, etc., or I can be tending to people and food.
What time and day are you available?
I'm aware that all times are available, including nights and weekends. This fits well into my schedule as I can work Thursdays and Fridays on the weekdays at about times of 4:30 p.m. till 8 p.m. As for weekends, I can work every other weekend from times 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. However, if there is any inconvenience to you without being a major inconvenience to me, I am willing to make some changes. I just want to say that I cannot work Mondays, Wednesdays, or Fridays as I do have school and I would like to prioritize that. And I know that this might be an inconvenience as the business here is typically quite busy due to the large quantities of travelers. But again, I am willing to change my schedule if need be.
What did you know about the company?
Before I say anything else, I just want to say that I do not and have not worked at a restaurant before, therefore I do not have any experience. I can assure you I'm a quick learner, and I promise I will be hardworking and determined to learn all the bells and whistles. I know I will be a strong asset to the company. Moving on, I know that the company values people with good communication skills and social skills. I believe I would fit in very well, as I always make sure that everyone around me is comfortable. Furthermore, I'm aware that this isn't necessarily an important skill. However, I was recently in a drama class where I presented to a group of people. With that, I certainly learned how to present in front of people and talk to them and communicate with them. And I know, I'm aware that in the actual workplace, I would not be presenting to people. However, I believe that I am capable of talking to small groups of people after that experience. Based on some of my friends who also work at the workplace, I know that you also have troubles finding people who would like to work on the weekends. Because of that, I would be willing to change my schedule to work every weekend if need be. Lastly, I am aware that there is a hotel within the restaurant, and I would happily be available to clean rooms, give maintenance on them, guide people to the rooms, etc.
What are your weaknesses?
Absolutely. Something, especially in this workforce, is I need to work on my patience. More specifically, when someone tells me something that has potential to happen, I tend to interrogate them and constantly pester them about it. However, that is something I am actively trying to work on. Another is my comprehension skills. Unfortunately, I do have a difficult time understanding people when they've given me instructions, and I will most likely frequently ask questions. And I know, I am aware that asking questions is in no means a weakness. However, I do understand that as a busy manager, it might be inconvenient to you at times. On top of that, I will most likely need regular instructions, and demonstrations would be very much appreciated. Essentially, I will occasionally need instructions as well as demonstrations, as most things do typically go right over my head. More importantly to working as a restaurant server, I can sometimes tend to be clumsy and unaware of my surroundings. However, that is one of the main reasons that I want to work at your company, as the restaurant environment is relatively compact and calm, meaning there are less things to distract me and less things to stumble on, so on and so forth.
What's your greatest achievement?
It was practically the beginning of grade 10 drama class, and we were about to perform. I was about to perform my very first monologue night. The opening scene was by myself, on the stage speaking my entire monologue. Then for the rest of the night, I had to say little snippets of my monologue to distinguish and separate everyone else's scenes or monologues. I was scared out of my mind, as I had never spoken in front of such a large crowd before. I mean, I could practically feel my pulse in my neck. However, I knew I had to speak slowly, breathe, and focus on my words. After the hardest part, my speech alone, all I had to do was listen for my cues as to when I should say my next part. For the monologue night, my role was very fundamental in bringing everything together. Not to toot my own horn, but my role is what transitioned the scenes and allowed people to be aware of when it was their turn to say their lines. With this, I certainly learned a sense of responsibility, as I had to work with everyone and listen for cues as to when it was my time to speak.
When as a time you were a disappointment to yourself?
Absolutely. Continuing the subject of drama, the more ego-shattering situation I had to endure was this year, in fact, and it was my one-act play. I had to do a very simple thing: memorize my lines, showcase the character traits of who I was playing, and follow the correct cues as to when I was supposed to say my lines. Almost like a conversation. This was an extremely degrading experience. Very embarrassing and extremely stressful, as I kept forgetting my lines, which in turn messed up other people and what they were saying. In particular, I forgot my lines at one point, and I had to physically stop what I was saying and look upon my computer screen. To give more context, I was doing a help desk play, and I was one of the help desk employees, meaning I had a computer in front of me and I looked at my lines. I'm not proud to say it, but at the end of the play as well, I had to take pictures of my lines through a friend's phone and look at my lines on the phone. Honestly, this was an extremely traumatizing experience, no doubt from my laziness to not fully learn my lines, and from being overly confident and stressed. I'm going to be honest. I was questioning and am questioning if I even want to go into drama next year. But to do that would to be a quitter. However, I learned that slacking, especially in drama, will only bring me shame, regret, and chronic PTSD. For next year, I will definitely get my act together, no pun intended, and preferably join a better group. Not to say this as an excuse, but the group I joined was mostly composed of individuals who did not have the motivation to do well or to remember their lines. Therefore, I also had no motivation to do it. But again, that is no excuse.
What did the time you disagreed with decision at schoolwork?
Alright, this is the last time I talk about drama, but for drama, we were doing a one-act play, the one like I just mentioned. However, the drama teacher chose to have 3 different plays and groups of people. There is nothing wrong with this in itself, especially as we had plenty of time to practice, inside and outside of school, to learn our lines. However, if we had done one large play, I specifically would have had a lot less lines. Unfortunately for me, I was stuck with a total of 6 characters, especially in comparison to everybody else in my group. However, I'm going to be honest, this wouldn't have been a problem had I remembered my lines and had my other group members remembered their lines. But regardless, and more importantly, my drama teacher is not organized or stern whatsoever. At one point, he told everybody that we were going to be off book by such and such time. However, after that time, he still allowed us to have our books in front of us. I feel as though this majorly discouraged everyone in my group, and everyone else for that matter, to actually memorize their lines. And as a student who looks up to my teacher occasionally, of course, I was quite disappointed and discouraged to follow my drama teacher, as he didn't even have the abilities to be stern with us and tell us what to do. Overall, for the couple of months we practiced our one-act play, I did not agree with anything my drama teacher did or said, especially as it was never concise, clear, or stern.
What motivates you?
Back in grade 8 and 9, I did not care about school whatsoever, and especially back then, school was not difficult, so there was no reason for me to not do well. All I was required to do was to do my homework, interact during class, respect my teachers, and more importantly, work hard. Blindly, I tried to work on my assignments. However, I always viewed asking questions as a sign of weakness. I also never seemed to have the time to read through the rubrics, instructions, etc. Overall, my grade 8 and 9 year was a disaster. Due to this entire encounter, and after realizing that my future actually mattered, I decided to take my fate into my own hands. I learned that being truly successful requires countless hours of hard work, discipline, crying, sweating, bleeding, sacrifices, and much more. Even on my laziest days, I think back to when I didn't care about my future, for my kids' future, and that scares me, which in turn brings me to get my things done.
What do you like outside of work?
In relevance to this question, I thoroughly enjoy crafting and baking sourdough bread, and cooking meals in general. I am also familiar with cooking measurements, and if needed, I can work with others, assisting them, giving them ingredients, giving them instructions, and overall, being a leader or a team sport. And oddly enough, I enjoy cleaning as well. There's something about lighting a candle, cleaning my room and my bed sheets, having a clean bathroom, washing the dishes, and overall having a clean house that is amazing. Now, in terms of my social life, I am generally a very keep-to-myself person. However, with the right people, as I do value quality over quantity, I 100% flourish and thrive with the people that I care about. Outside of work, I enjoy reading and listening to educational podcasts. As from what I told you previously, I am not the brightest person. So because of that, I have recently gained a want and need for knowledge. On top of that, I also enjoy listening to music.
Where do you see yourself in the future? 5 to 10 years from now.
As for the next 5 to 10 years, I see myself still in school and still working a part-time job. I am working towards becoming a dermatologist, which, in case you weren't aware, takes 13 years to become one after high school. As for maybe the next 20 years, I see myself hopefully opening my own business, debt-free, successful, and married with kids. More into the business, I would like to further my education for things like marketing, business management, employee and employer rights, etc.
Any more questions?
Absolutely. Will I be able to maintain this position all year round and including the summer?
Yes, indeed. You might not work so much during slower times. Winter is typically our slow season, and you will work much more during the summer. As for all year round, as long as you're a well-developed employee, you shouldn't have a problem maintaining your position.
Thank you so much, Dan, for allowing me to have an interview with you today. I really appreciate it, and my contact information is still my email and phone number. Again, here's another resume just for you, just in case you need another one. Just in case you need another resume. Once again, thank you, and I really appreciate this interview. And again, Dan, here's another resume.
Is this the third one?
Fourth, actually. And I really appreciate this experience once again. I'll be on my way.
You're fired!
I haven't even been hired yet.